Hey, thank you for joining me live from the grooming table. I am Amy Lee, certified professional pet groomer since 2003. That's a while ago, but it doesn't matter. It is my pleasure to share with you the secrets of the pet grooming industry so that you can provide the same level of quality care to your pets and the pets you groom as I provide to the pets I groom professionally. Welcome to Go Groomer on YouTube, having a place to learn valuable information on pet grooming products, tools, methods, how to use them, where to get them, all the things is so important. And that's why I created this YouTube channel for you and the pets that you groom. I am so glad that you're joining me tonight. I see you guys from all over the place. Yeah, it's cold here too. I see our friend Debbie's cold in Indiana. That's my home state, by the way. I am in Pennsylvania, and we just had a foot of snow dropped on us yesterday. It's very pretty, but it's very cold, and it was a lot of snow to remove. But hey, we got it done. Hubby was out there with his snowblower. Gus was trying to help. We got it done. Tonight's topic is the real cost of dog grooming in the United States, and how often should you go dog grooming? So I have put together some really great information for you tonight, guys. I can't wait to show you. We're going to dive right into it. We got some numbers to check out. We've got expenses. We've got profit loss, all the things. So this video, you're going to learn a lot. How much it really costs to have your dog groomed in a salon. And that goes from various areas, wherever you live. What expenses dog groomers pay to provide this service to you and your pets. That's important for me to share that and show that breakdown and show what they sacrifice to remain a viable business. You're also going to learn how to budget for grooming. If you're looking to have your dog groomed, or if you do have your dog groomed, how to budget for that. How often should you schedule these grooming appointments? We're going to talk about these things tonight. Whether you are a pet groomer or a pet owner just trying to budget, today I'm breaking it all down for you. So we're all sharing right here together on our Go Groomer community that we created. It's going to be great. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. So we're going to start off with an image. I'm going to show a little show and share. All right. So what we're looking at here is a chart. First things first, let's talk numbers. On average, what grooming your dog at a salon, okay? So on average, grooming your dog at a salon in the U.S. costs anywhere from $40 to $300 and up per session. That's a huge jump, isn't it? But why this wide range? That is what a lot of people wonder. And how do groomers who work in those areas price their services? Well, let's break it down. Several factors can influence the cost of grooming. Here are the big ones. Dog size. Bigger dogs like German Shepherds, they often cost more because they take more time and resources to groom. For example, a small Chihuahua may cost $30 to $40, while a large Golden Retriever could run you $80 or more. And that's obvious. I think it's obvious why that is. But it's coat type, the condition of the coat. Dogs with long, thick, or curly coats, like poodles or Shih Tzus, may need more extensive grooming, especially if their coat is matted. And that's not always the case. It's not always matted, but sometimes we're just dealing with a lot of coat. So what you're looking at in this chart, it's broke down between, this is on average, small dogs, medium dogs, large dogs. And at the top right corner, you're going to see city type. Is it urban? Is it suburban? Is it rural? So, and you'll see the prices vary. And there's reasons for that. And these prices for large dogs and even in cities can exceed this chart. Trust me. Seriously. Breed-specific grooming trims. Some breeds, like Schnauzers or Poodles, they require specialized trims and cuts. So your groomer has to have all the products, tools, and knowledge to pull off that trim. These styles often cost more because they take skill and precision. Location plays a big key, and that's what we're looking at here. Where you live matters. Grooming costs are typically higher in urban areas, like cities, compared to smaller towns or rural settings. For instance, grooming for a small dog in New York City might be $100, while the same service in a smaller town could be $50. That's a big difference. But why is this? Because the cost to live and operate a business in these urban cities and these areas is not the same. So I want to take this a step further for you guys. I worked really hard on putting together kind of a mock spreadsheet with groomer expenses. It's basically a profit loss statement for a grooming business with one groomer. So it would be like me. I was I did have assistants over the years many different times because I had to ramp up my income, and the only way to do that is to hire somebody to groom more dogs. But that just breeds a lot of chaos in the shop, and I prefer to groom them one-on-one. So a lot of my grooming career was one-on-one grooming with each dog at a time. So how do you survive? All right, well, let me show you this. This is great. So pay attention. This is for everybody. Pet professionals, perk your ears up. People who use grooming services, who are interested in using grooming services, you're going to want to really see this. So what I put together here is an expense and income breakdown for a grooming salon that is not an in-home business. This is a storefront, so they have to lease their space somewhere. They have to lease it, whether it's in a small town or it's in a, like a strip mall. They have to lease it. And this is common. This is a common scenario for groomers, so that's why I wanted to use this one. So we're also talking about a groomer that is grooms by themselves, okay? And a lot of these numbers are low. In fact, some of this information I left out for you. I estimated the average cost to run a dog grooming business in a suburban area, not in a city. And this is the profit for this groomer. It's negative. Do you see that? Well, now I want to go further onto this. These are realistic numbers, my friends. I want to tell you that. For a groomer that is not fortunate enough to operate an in-home business, meaning, they don't comply with their township's codes and regulations, so they can't operate an in-home business, then they must pay rent to have a salon or a storefront. Will the groomer be able to write these costs off come tax time? Yes, absolutely. But for 12 months leading up to filing and figuring taxes, the groomer must cover these costs. So let's talk about these expenses a little deeper. Let me explain to you. Let's take the top. From the top, rent, $2,000. That's on the low side. I just want to tell you, even for my area, I'm in a rural, kind of small town area. I guess maybe we could be considered suburbs. I'm not sure. But $2,000 for rent is low. So, you figure probably more like 3 to 5. Utilities. Groomers use a lot of electricity and a lot of water. And of course, we have to have internet. So Internet cost is $100 and up for high-speed internet, no doubt about it. $100 and up. Electricity for a grooming salon, and depending on how efficient the building is, energy efficient, wow. I mean, to tell you, electricity could be anywhere from $300 a month to $1,000 a month just for electricity. Water, if you have to pay city water, which if you're in a storefront, you would definitely usually have to pay water. Groomers use a lot of water. A lot of water. So they've got these expenses. I figured low. Look, I put $300 for utilities. That is so low. Insurance, we have to have liability insurance. We have to have insurance to operate our grooming salon and ensure our safety and the pet safety and the owner's safety. That's low. The insurance cost is low, $55. That's low, $55 a month. This is monthly. Grooming supplies, $200 a month. That's kind of low. It depends on what you're grooming and how, the types of dogs you're grooming, but that is low. And grooming supplies means everything. Blades, clippers, if you have to buy new products, if you have to buy, obviously we buy a lot of shampoos, conditioners, and brush out sprays. We have to replace our brushes often, our blades often. There's so many, everything, your grooming loops, your grooming table, your bathing system, everything is, it costs money, you know? Think of the bathing system, they're like $1,400. It saves you money, but you gotta pay it up front. Maintenance and repairs, I have $100, and that's pretty low in my opinion. I'm just trying to give you some rough numbers. I'd put 0 in for marketing and advertising for this groomer. Hopefully they're utilizing social media. But yeah, licensing and permits, I put 0, considering that they may have paid once and it's over. Professional development workshops, we all have subscriptions. I'm a subscribed member to Groom House. We have a lot of subscriptions that we subscribe to as groomers. So that's low, on the low side, $40 a month. Cleaning supplies, software subscriptions, you know, like your booking software, and I feel every groomer should have it. It's the only way to free you up some time and keep you from being distracted. But let's face it, it's at least $50 a month. So it's important, you know, it sends out automated reminders and everything, but it costs money. These, you know, as clients love getting those reminders, love getting the text, my dog's ready to be picked up. Anything, they love it, but they have to remember it comes with a cost. And then there's always miscellaneous expenses, Band-Aids, anything, tissues, you name it. So we've totaled up these expenses monthly to be $2,795 a month. A groomer that grooms 5 dogs a day, 5 days a week, on average, makes about $1,250 on average. So how is this possible that this groomer has expenses this high and a monthly income that low? Well, it takes being very creative. I will tell you that. You have to be very creative. You have to try to offer plans to suit different dog breeds. You know, subscription plans for your clients, sort of like, you know, they're VIP, absolutely. You know they're going to be, but this is why groomers just bang their head against the wall when somebody doesn't show up for an appointment. They can't afford, they're running their business that tight. They cannot afford to have you not show up. They can't afford it. I mean, it basically costs them money. So you'll find groomers that dismiss clients if they do this a couple times, because they're like, I just can't, I've got to stay in business. Now, at the end of the year, all these things I'm telling you are a write-off, 100%. And groomers, if this isn't what your end of the year sheet looks like, times 12 months, then you're not providing the right information to your accountant. This is important, guys. You have to account for everything, because your expenses are costing you money if you don't deduct them at the end of the year on your taxes. And it will come right off your income. And now you're left with this. So I made this much this year, but I paid all these expenses, and I'm left with this. So in this case, where this groomer has rent of $2,000 to $3,000 a month, anybody that's renting space where it's not a home-based business and they can't just write off a portion of their house and they're not paying rent, you have to have an assistant. That's the only way to survive. And understand, pet parents, understand this. If you go to a salon and it's not in somebody's house, meaning they're renting space, and you really love the groomer, but you don't like that Sally is always in the back washing dogs, or, you know, behind your dog, washing, drying dogs. You're like, my dog doesn't like that. If you are going to have a one-on-one groomer, you have to expect to pay very much so higher prices, because that groomer is covering costs on one income. And I didn't even tell you guys, this groomer doesn't have health insurance. Did you see that on the sheet? I didn't see it on the sheet. Well, how could she even afford it, or he? How could they? They can't. They often go without. How terrible is that? So it's important when people say grooming shouldn't cost more than $50, $60. I have a small dog. It's not about your little dog. It's not about, maybe that groomer can get that dog done in an hour and 15 minutes. But that groomer has to do 9 or 10 dogs a day to make the profit they need to make. And either you want them to cram your dog into a 9 or 10 dog a day schedule, or you just want to pay more for that one-on-one exclusive experience for your pet. And I'm speaking to you groomers too, who don't know what to charge, and basically just compare yourself to the groomer down the street. Well, the groomer down the street may, for one, be an in-home business. They're not paying rent. So you can't just say, and pet parents, you can't just say that groomer charges this groomer 5 miles down the road charges that. Why aren't they the same? I'm trying to help you understand that. These costs are very expensive, and if you are a one groomer salon, it's darn near impossible. It really is, if you're not located at home. If you're mobile, you still have, say, that rent payment, your mobile unit, which mobile is great, by the way. Mobile charges a lot more. You have more expenses, and you also have convenience. You're offering a convenience. So up there where you see rent lease, that's your payment for your mobile truck. Right now, a mobile truck is $100,000 or more to buy a new one. And yes, you can pay it off in 7 years, and then you don't have that payment anymore, but by 7 years, you've run the wheels off of it. Think about that. So your payment for a $100,000 mobile grooming unit, and then you got to have car insurance too on that unit, is probably going to be $1,200, $1,500 a month at least, depending on the interest rate. So guys, it's really hard for groomers to stay viable. This could explain why we have a shortage of groomers, couldn't it? This can explain why people are not so quick to get into the pet grooming industry. The money is good if you just look at the money, but you're running a business. And not just the cost of running the business. You have to give above and beyond your time to run your business. After hours, clean your business, all these things. You have to groom at least 5, 6 dogs a day. Now we're talking you're grooming from 7 to 3, and from 3 to 5, you're cleaning, you're making calls, you're checking your inventory, making sure you always have your supplies and your tools that you need. I've got 2 blades that dulled me today. I've got 1 spare. I've got to get an order here for new blades. This is on the daily to run a dog grooming business. It is a lot. I don't know why it's not expected that groomers don't charge more, especially considering how specific the skill is. Not anybody can do it, and not anybody can do it right, and not every business is going to be the right place for you to drop your doggy off and leave. But when you find that, that's a gold mine. I mean, that is the most peace of mind. Your dog is with somebody who knows what they're doing, and they have a successful business, and they're very dedicated to your pet. So if you have to have a storefront, guys, you have to have 1 or 2 other people working with you. You've got to do a more volume of dogs. It's just that way. It can be done. There's easy, streamlined procedures to make that run efficiently, but it's a different environment. Pet owners, it's a different environment than if you're used to taking your dog to Sally down the street, who works out of her home and grooms one-on-one by herself. She can afford to do that. The storefront cannot. So they have to find ways to provide safe, good grooming to these pets that they service, and peace of mind to the clients that it may be a busier shop, but we've covered all the bases, we've dotted all the T's, dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, and we're dedicated to the safety, well-being, comfort, and happiness of your pet when they're with us. And I will say this, dog groomers get into grooming because they want to help pets. They want to work for pets. They want to work with pets. They want to do it. They absolutely, that is the first thing. The next thing is, can they do it? And they find that out within the first probably year that they groom. If they stick it out or not, they find out if they can do it. Sean says, Amy, would you go over the income? Yeah, the income's at the bottom. All right, so take a look here, Sean. This is an example. So this would have been 5 dogs a day. Picture this, guys. 5 dogs a day. Takes me about an hour and a half to groom start to finish, check in, check out. 1 small dog. Okay, so that's an 8-hour day. 5 dogs a day, 5 days a week at $50 a dog. Okay, that's $50 a dog. You see, it's the last figure there, Sean. That's what it is. So in this case, this groomer, needs to definitely have some big dogs on their schedule. We charge more for bigger dogs. They're more work. We have to use more shampoo, more products, more water, more electricity. We're drying a big dog for an hour. That's a lot of electricity. People that have big dogs have to understand that. You have to understand that. The price is going to be a considerable amount more. Remember the first chart that I showed you? A small dog in a rural area is around 40 to 50. A large one is 70, 80 and up. That's typical. They have to do it. So, I was so excited to bring this information tonight and break some of these things down. Now, if you want me to go over anything else, I'm going to get to questions in a little bit, guys. If you have a question, please hold the dash bar and create a line in front of your question and then type it so I can see it. Sean says, this is weekly income, right? No, 4 weeks. $50, that monthly income. Oh, I'm sorry, monthly, the weekly income. You know what, you're right. Did I mess that up? I did mess that up. Where's my darn calculator? Yeah, 5 dogs a day times 5 days a week is 25 dogs times 50 is 1,200. That's 1 week. I am so wrong here. Times 4 is 5,000. Oh my gosh, Sean, thank you so much. You see, I was busy working on this so fast and I messed it up. It's 5,000. So this groomer's expenses with a storefront and a rent of 2,000, which is low. And as we mentioned earlier, the utilities are low. That's a low estimate. This is all a low estimate. Income weekly is 5,000 or monthly is 5,000. Expenses start at $27.95, about 3,000. So there's 2,000. That's $2,000 a month of what's left for the groomer, and that isn't even a lot of money. $2,000 for a month is what's left after expenses. But as I said earlier, they have to cover these expenses throughout the year, every 12, all the 12 months of the year. At the end of the year, they are deducting all those expenses out of their income. So let's figure this. Let me pull up my calculator again. If that groomer made $5,000 a month times 12 months in a year, that's $60,000. So remember that number, 60,000. Then we had what? Let's say 2,800 is the expenses per month times 12 is 33,600. So a groomer making $60,000 a year in income minus 33, what was it, 33.6, guys? I forget stuff so fast. Leaves the groomer with 26.4 after expenses. So your first year of grooming is you've got to be prepared for this. At tax time, you're going to get this written off your income. It's going to all kind of be adjusted a little bit, but it's still a struggle. It's still a struggle. I mean, you tell you, big time. So it's definitely my advice that if you're renting a storefront, that you have at least one person working with you so that you can groom more than 5 dogs a day. And definitely have somebody who is knowledgeable with the bigger breeds too, because you want to encourage the bigger breeds. And if you are a 2-groomer operation, even if the one groomer doesn't do everything that the full charge groomer does, but they can do a lot of things like pre-clipping, bathing, brushing, drying, even nail trimming, paw pad shaving. Maybe they just don't do the breed standard trims, that's not their specialty. You can do a lot more dogs. These are the types of shops that if you're set up properly with your equipment and with your help, that you should encourage big dogs and rebook them on your schedule so they become very used to you, very used to and accustomed to your grooming salon. Big dogs are wonderful to work with, and you make really good money on big dogs. But as a one-person groomer, sometimes working on big dogs is just going to wear you out. I would do probably 2 to 3 a week towards like the last 5 years, really dumb it down, because I would be so wore out. I would have to end up always placing the big dog on my schedule last, because that would be it for me. And then usually, I'm talking about a Samoyed, a Bernese Mountain Dog. Now I've got an hour worth of cleanup because there's undercoat stuck to everything in my salon, the ceiling, the floor, the tub, everything. So there's so much work involved in pet grooming. But you find a lot of groomers right now who are not taking big dogs. But you will notice that a lot of the storefronts that have multiple groomers do, because they're equipped for it and they have help if they need it, or they don't have to do that one big dog start to finish. They've got their assistant bathing, conditioning, brushing, and drying. They get to do all the finish work. So they didn't have to stand there for 3 hours and exhaust themselves on this one dog. They're splitting up some of that labor with their assistant. And those shops typically will do more of the bigger dogs. And if you have a bigger dog and you're looking for grooming for your bigger dog, you need to keep them in with a groomer. Groomers will refuse if you have a bigger dog, because controlling a bigger dog is not as easy as controlling a small dog as far as keeping them safely on the table. It's not easy to do that for a large breed. Half the time, these dogs are stronger than us, the groomer. We need them to understand and respect and be comfortable with the grooming process. And by doing that, it's keeping them on a schedule from young all the way through their life. That groomer is going to take care of them, but they need to be on a schedule. So let's talk about schedule. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about frequency of grooming. How often should you take your dog to the groomer? And that does depend on your dog's breed, coat type, and lifestyle. So let me give you a quick summary. I'll give you a cute little picture to look at. I like to give you things to look at. All right, so let's talk about this. Short-haired breeds. So we're talking dogs like boxers or beagles. They don't really only do need professional grooming about every 8 to 12 weeks. In between, you can keep them fresh at home with regular baths and brushing easily. But 8 to 12 weeks is what you should be doing, scheduling for your short-haired breeds, boxers, beagles, anything like that. Let's talk about long-haired breeds. If you've got a Maltese or a Shih Tzu, plan on grooming every 4 to 6 weeks to keep their coat tangle-free and fabulous. And I mean 4 to 6 weeks. And a lot of groomers are just going to demand it because we realize after 6 weeks, they grow continuous coat. They're going to have an abundance of coat. It's going to change our whole schedule for the day. If we have to spend an extra, even 20 minutes on one dog, that just filters onto the next client and the next client and the next client. So 4 to 6 weeks is, plus you want your dog to be kept in good condition. But this is what we need as groomers. Let's talk about double-coated breeds. Breeds like Huskies or Golden Retrievers. They need grooming every 6 to 8 weeks. Absolutely. Especially during their shedding seasons. And that depends on where you live, what the shedding season is. Some people may live year-round in a warm climate. So your shedding season for your Husky may be different than my shedding season for a Husky in Pennsylvania, where we have extreme climate changes in winter and summer. Very, very extreme. Big difference in temperature. So it varies, but on average, double-coated breeds, and this is always what I would expect. Huskies, Golden Retrievers, they need to have grooming every 6 to 8 weeks, definitely. And if your dog is very active, likes to go on hikes with you, maybe it's your boating buddy, fishing buddy, you know, this is great to share these things with the dogs we love. But if your dog loves the outdoors and is very active like that, they like rolling in mud or swimming or jumping off the boat and whatever, you need to have them groomed even more frequently to keep their skin and coat healthy and to keep them from becoming a mess for the groomer. It's almost like, where do you begin with this in a 2.5 hour groom? You know, what do you want me to do? I got 2.5 hours to groom this dog, and you brought me a dog that has impacted undercoat. Say it's a Husky. It hasn't been brushed or properly groomed by a professional who knows how to safely remove undercoat in, say, 4 or 5 months. So I scheduled the dog for 2.5 hours. I have to decide when I get remember how we talk about assessing? I always tell you guys to assess the groom when the dog gets on your table. Always assess it, meaning what's the game plan? You know you have 2.5 hours. And then Fluffy comes in, the Cocker Spaniel. So you're on a time frame. You have to decide, what am I able to do and complete in 2.5 hours? So if the dog has an impacted undercoat, and you know that you can release and brush out most of that undercoat in the tub, you're going right to the tub. You're going right to the tub, you're going to shampoo the dog, you're going to rinse it and put a very good quality conditioner on that dog, and you're going to de-shed the dog in the tub with a slicker brush. Gently pulling, the conditioner allows all that to slide out. But having these game plans tells you what you're going to do in this 2.5 hour slot that you have available for this Husky with an impacted undercoat. Sometimes we don't know what's going to land on our table because it wasn't properly disclosed to us when the appointment was made, or even this. Sometimes pet parents really don't know what that means, that is the case. They think, my dog's a shedding breed, he's supposed to look like that. He's supposed to have clumps of hair all over him. It's education, guys. It's us working together to bring, you know, awareness and information out there so everybody understands what's best for dogs when it comes to dog grooming. So, and that's what we do here, and that's what I love about you guys. We share all that information. So we know in 2025, and by the way, Happy New Year, guys. I've said it to you once, but I'm saying it to you again. It's still January. In 2025, regular grooming just isn't about looks. This is the cool thing. Pet parents know it, groomers know it, other professionals, even vets know it. It's not about looks. It's a necessity. It's essential for a dog's health. We're in 2025. We're all on board with that now. Grooming helps prevent matting. It reduces shedding, keeps their skin and coat healthy and in great shape. Plus, it's an opportunity for the groomer to check for any skin issues, ear infections, any concerns, new warts, new lumps. Sometimes if you've got a big double-coated dog, say a Samoyed, and he's got a new lump on under his groin, you may not feel that at home because of all his hair. But when the groomer gets him in the tub and wets him down, and gets really up close and personal with that dog, they're going to see it and they're going to report it to you immediately. So if I'm seeing Cosmo, one of the Samoyeds I used to groom, I loved him so much. He's since passed. Cosmo was in every 4 to 6 weeks, a full groom, de-shed. He doesn't get a haircut, but he was 3 hours worth of work to properly groom him. Anything new with Cosmo, a wart, an ear, this ear started to really look, has a lot of buildup. It doesn't, even if it wasn't infected, it's not typical for Cosmo. I would report that to his owner and say he typically doesn't have a lot of buildup in his ear, and he does today. So something we want to keep an eye on. Those kind of things. Your pet groomers are your dog's first line of defense for noticing any change in your dog's health. So they're very important, very important. Let's talk about budgeting for grooming. This is something that's important. It's an expense. It can be quite expensive depending on the type of dog and size dog that you have. So how can you budget for grooming? Here's a few tips. Stick to a schedule. Knowing how often your dog needs grooming helps you plan ahead. So you know what the schedule is. Every 6 weeks, I need to have $50 for Fluffy's groom. You know this. So stick to a schedule. Your groomer can advise you with a grooming schedule specifically designed for your dog breed and coat type. So if you're not sure, you talk to your groomer and you say, level with me. Fluffy is a Schnauzer. Let's say Ellie. Ellie, are you listening? Ellie's a Schnauzer. How often do I really need to bring Ellie in and reschedule her? And the groomer's going to say, well, I would suggest anywhere, we could probably push it off 7 weeks. But if I'm seeing tangles and mats coming back in the furnishings, we're going to need to shorten that up to 6 weeks. So your groomer may say, we can try 7 weeks and see how you do with the maintenance at home, the upkeep, the brushing in between. But we may need to back that down to 6 weeks if she's getting tangles, or we may need to shorten the haircut to stay on the 7-week schedule. So all those pretty furnishings that we like, we may need to shorten those up so they don't become matted. The point is, your groomer is a professional and knows dog breeds and knows grooming needs of each breed. So work out a schedule for them. So that's the first thing to do as far as how to budget for grooming, is to know what the schedule is that you need to keep for your dog. Also, in between grooming sessions, invest in a good brush, a really good brush, a good comb, good shampoo and conditioner may be all that you need to maintain your pet between grooming appointments. And if you give them one intermediate bath, so there's a bath, their last groom, and they're scheduled for the next one in 6 weeks, if you give them a good bath at 3 weeks with a good condition and you're keeping up with routine brushing, your dog is going to be in perfect shape. But if you want to budget for grooming, you gotta keep them in good shape too in between grooms, or you're going to go over your budget. Because when it gets to the appointment, your groomer's going to give you a bill that you didn't expect because they had to do the work that you didn't. And they're not being mean. They just need to be compensated. And they also need to know what to expect on their grooming schedule so they can schedule other dogs accordingly. If your dog is always in bad shape and they know that, they're going to schedule 2 hours. They're still going to charge you extra than what they would have if your dog wasn't in bad shape. But at least they know how to schedule it, and they know to take the time with your dog that your dog needs for grooming. Another way to budget and help you maintain, that you have these costs, is to find the right groomer for your dog. Don't be afraid to compare prices when you're looking for a groomer, and definitely get reviews. So look online or word of mouth. You want referrals, people that are happy with their groomer. So do this for groomers in your area. And sometimes a great groomer at a reasonable price is just around the corner. But that could be because they're an in-home business, and that's why it's slightly cheaper than the storefront down the road. Both two excellent groomers, but one may be a little cheaper if it matters to you. And that's why, because of the numbers I just showed you, the wrong numbers I just showed you. But no, that was a good chart. It does show you that they have a lot of expenses, and they have to cover them all year while drawing an income and making their mortgage, making their car payment, sending their kid off to band camp. All these things cost money, and they have to have it too when it's due. When it's time, they got to pay it. So once you find the right groomer, build a trusting relationship with that groomer. That's going to ensure that your dog will always land on the right grooming table. I promise you that. So there you have it. Grooming costs depend on your dog's size, coat type, coat condition, how often the dog is groomed, and where you are located. But never forget, regular grooming, whether at a salon, a mobile unit, or at home, is definitely the key to a happy, healthy dog. It adds value to their life. So hug your dog's groomer next time you go in and visit them, guys, and tell that groomer how much you appreciate the lengths they go to in order to provide the best care for your beloved pets and to stay as open, keep those doors open as a viable business. Because trust me, if you have an amazing groomer that you love and trust, and so does your dog, and they got to close their doors because they can't afford it, they're not making enough money, you're going to be crushed and heartbroken. And so is your puppy. It's a relationship. It's a lifelong relationship. Build that relationship with your groomer and look at them as family. Look at them that way, because they are. They care about your dog as family too, as far as they're concerned. So it is the best relationship that you can have with your pet outside of your family's home, is a darn good groomer and a good vet, and a good pet sitter. That's always a good relationship to have too. My favorite dog dad is super chatting. I think David is enjoying this content because David's a groomer. And I think you can relate, buddy. It's nice that we talk about these things. We have groomers, we have pet owners, we have home groomers right here tonight together. This is a great conversation for all of us to have, but you're not getting out of here without a salute. My favorite dog dad. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you do as a groomer. You and Diane. You work together as a team. It's awesome. Teamwork for groomers, I tell you, if you can put together a team of groomers, 2 or 3 of you, you could run an amazing business. It'll be a little busy at times, but you'll learn how to schedule things and what dogs you wouldn't bring in at a certain time because maybe they're very vocal and you have a nervous dog coming in at the same time where that's going to really upset them. Whereas normally that nervous dog is fine in your care, in your hands, but if there's outside disturbances, it may ruin the session for them. So you learn to schedule all that stuff. But I got to tell you guys, groomers are worth every penny and more. They really are. They try to keep their prices reasonable, and they try to be, I'm just scrolling up because I'm going to start questions. I'm going to start answering your questions. So I'm looking for where I got to get start. But groomers, what was I going to say? I forget because I'm trying to do 2 things at once. Sean, thank you, SVCC Toy Schnauzers, for pointing that out to me. That was a big boo-boo. $1,250 is what that groomer would make a week. 5 dogs a day, 5 small dogs a day, 5 days a week. Times 4 weeks, I think we said was what? $6,000 a month. So then you got a lot of expenses. Look at our expenses again, guys. This is low, at least $3,000 approximately in expenses if you have to rent your space to groom in. So we haven't even spoke about health insurance for the groomer. You know, they may not have it. They may not be able to afford it. You know, that's probably going to be at least $2,000 a month. It's just crazy. Things have got to change. Oh my God, guys, how are we going to survive? We've got to have better pricing on everything. Everything is so expensive. So our incomes need to come up. All of us, no matter what you do. Honey Bunny says, I have 3 standard poodles. What is a reasonable price range and time to do them? Thank you. Good question. Wow, 3 standard poodles, Honey Bunny. You have some expensive dogs to maintain. Standard poodles are a lot of work for a groomer. It's a lot of coat to prepare before they even get to the haircut. One of my favorite breeds to work with. They are intelligent. They are so obedient, they're loving, and they're gorgeous. And I love doing the poodle trims. I love working with poodles. So what would I charge? Me, as far as that chart I showed you a little bit ago, I would fall right into probably a suburb, rural, right between there, small town type thing. For a standard poodle, you got some expense. It would have to be at least $120 each, and I would want them no less than every 6 weeks. So that's what I would want as a professional groomer for the best of myself and the dog to work together. It's about $120 a dog, and that's being a little shy on the number. And definitely within 6 weeks, I will want to groom them. So I know it's expensive. If you have 3 poodles, you have to understand, and I know you do, and it's a lot, but you'll have to, like we talked earlier, you have to budget for it. You have to say, I love standard poodles, and they are worth it. They are absolutely worth it. They are so smart, but they're going to cost me. You know? It's the price you pay for a standard poodle. They cost money to maintain. Honey Bunny says, I cut my 3 standard poodles to save money. Why do my clippers Wall KM, 7 skip tooth? Never use a 7 skip tooth blade. You'll cut your dog. If you've ever heard anything I talk about on this channel, that's one thing that I say a bit often whenever I talk about clipper blades. Never use skip tooth blades. They shouldn't even make them. So get your regular 7 blades, no skip tooth. All of a sudden stopped working. It cut like butter. You have to clean. I have videos on cleaning and oiling your blades. It's very important to clean and oil them before and after every use. And sometimes you have to depack your blade throughout one grooming session multiple times, and a standard poodle requires a lot of clipper work. So you have to stop, take the blade off, brush all the clippings out of the blade that's stuck in the little teeth of the blades. Clean it up, maybe spray some cool lube. You have to cool the blade. All clippers are going to heat up except for your 501 clippers, but you can't be using a 501 clipper on a standard poodle. It ain't going to work. The reason for that is they're plastic blades, so they're not the same as a detachable blade like the Wall Cam 10. We're talking about that, detachable blades. So yeah, I'd say either your blade has gotten dull from clipping a dirty coat. That's something else you guys might be interested in hearing. If you clip your dog's coat dirty, you're not working with a clean, brushed, conditioned, dry coat, and then you clip them, you're going to dull your blades quickly, a lot faster. People say, how many clips do I get out of a blade? That's an impossible number to say. I take very good care of my clipper blades before and after every groom, and I try to always clip every dog after they're clean. My blades last me months as a professional. A 7 blade, you know, I always have 2 or 3 spares, but a 7 blade could last me 4 or 5 months because I take such good care of my blades. Never take them apart, guys. Don't ever do it, because you won't put them back together right, and the tension won't be right, and they're not going to clip right. So if you've taken your blades apart, Honey Bunny, that could be why they're not working, because you don't know the proper tension to put, that you need to put that screw back in, and the proper tension on the cutting blade and the stationary blade. So I don't recommend people taking their blades apart. But these could all be factors as to why your clipper isn't clipping. Or, you know, let's not forget, you have standard poodle, very thick coat. You may not, your dog's coat may be in bad shape. Can you brush through them and slide a comb all the way through from the skin out? If you can, then it might be a blade. If not, you're not preparing the coat. And I have so many videos on that and how important it is too. But it's very important to do that before you clip any dog. So I hope that helps to answer your question. Nikki says, how about renting out a space for a dog groomer? How about renting out a space for a dog groomer? Meaning if you wanted to rent the space and hire groomers, I mean, grooming, that's fine. That's fine. You have to know enough about managing a grooming business so that you're running a tight ship, because now you're managing employees. Or if you just want to hand it right over and say, I bought a property, I'm going to convert this part of this into a grooming salon, and your jurisdiction says you can, your township says that's okay, you get all the permits, then you can clearly do that. Set it up and rent. If you're running out, you know, with a tub, all the electric, the water supply that they need, you could probably charge a nice little penny for that, and there will be groomers that would be more than willing to come in and work there and work the business for them, their own business. So basically they just rent from you. That's an option. That is an absolute option. It could be, you know, that could be stopping a lot of groomers from continuing on. Sometimes groomers have an in-home business, and then, you know, they have to relocate for whatever reason. They have to move to another state. They can't afford to build up a salon in another area. They don't have the cash funds, reserves, let's say. They don't have the reserves in their funds to build the business, you know, turn it into a grooming salon and then pay that rent and build up a client base. So having an established place could be definitely something people would be looking for. I think it would be a good idea, to be honest. There's a lot of people that want to groom but just can't. They can't make it happen, you know? So one thing to do before you give that a big go may be to put a small ad in your local paper and find out if anybody's actually interested in that, you know, and say, well, this is what I'm thinking to do. And you could rent to 2 different groomers. So they could both be working there, maybe 2 separate businesses, but they would have a place to do it. And that's not a bad idea at all. A lot of times the hardest thing for them is to establish the space to work in, having the reserved money aside to be able to start the business. So not a bad idea at all. Yeah, even my favorite dog dad says renting space can be great as a start, or if you set up properly for permanent situations, but there are different regulations state by state and township by township, absolutely, when renting space if there are multiple groomers. So yes, you have to check before you would invest in creating a grooming salon in a space that you own and you wanted to rent out to a groomer. You have to go to your local township or borough, you know, and find out if you can operate a grooming business there, if that's okay, and pull the permits, get the permits. Kathy Mountjoy says, question for all groomers here. Do any of you keep photos of different breeds you've groomed to show to clients looking for new groomers? I think it's great. I'm pretty sure nowadays most people do, Kathy, because of social media, how we're always taking pictures to share, knowing, oh, the pet mom's probably going to see this and be like, that's my baby, or whatever. It's easier now more than ever because of social media. So in other words, a pet groomer would have a page on, say, Facebook or Instagram in the name of the business. So they would open up a Facebook account as my business was the Hairy Hound. So the Hairy Hound. And on the Hairy Hound, I can post little clip videos, I can post little pictures, and have little libraries to direct clients to, that they say, I think I want to change the way Fluffy's ears look, but I don't know how it would look like. And the pet groomer can say, look on my Facebook page, check out the little Yorkie, the little Maltese, or whatever, and let me know if that's what you're interested in. So if you are a groomer and you're not doing that, that's a good idea. But most groomers are doing that. Social media has made it easier. It's almost like free marketing, free advertising for us as pet groomers. So, yeah, I think you'll find that most of them do have that. Thank you, Honey Bunny says, you're welcome, sweetie. You're welcome. I love standard poodles. Man, do I love that breed. I am not seeing any other questions here. Dottie K says, to run any business, people probably need to take out a loan. Sometimes you do, Dottie, and you have to keep your credit in good standing so you can take that business loan. You'll need to present a business plan. If you haven't done that and you're setting yourself up for trouble, the loan needs to be repaid. You're right. A business plan, guys, there's business plan templates you can download off Google everywhere, and there's books to help you on how to create a business plan for a potential dog grooming business. There's books. I've had many. I've had so many books over the years because we didn't have the internet. If you needed to know something, you had to buy a book or go banging on doors and begging people to give you advice that were in the industry. Find somebody who was successful and say, let me buy you lunch once a month and ask you a ton of questions. And they may say, all right, I'll take you up on that. But yeah, it's important, like Dottie said, to have a plan if you're looking for a loan. And don't be afraid to take a startup loan, but know how you're going to get the clients, how much you're going to charge, how you're going to make that payment, and still have money in your pocket to survive. That's important. You have a house payment, a rent, car payment, all the things too. So always remember that. Business plans are great. Keep good records, guys. Your breakdowns like this for your accountant at the end of the year. If I were any of you as pet groomers, I would not ever plan to prepare my own taxes. There are tax breaks and there are tax penalties that you may or may not be aware of as a self-employed person. For instance, I think as a self-employed person, I have to pay half of my self-employment tax. I have to pay I pay Social Security, Medicare. I was comparing my taxes to my husband. I just did them last week. I'm like, why do I pay so much? And he said, because we compared them. Because of the self-employment tax was one reason. But these are things you don't know if you do your own taxes. And it could get you in a bind with the federal government. So I suggest that all pet groomers have a very reputable accountant, CPA, prepare their taxes every year, and go to that accountant every year. They really get to understand your business so they can work the best they can for you as far as what breaks are you not taking, what taxes are you not paying that you should be, or whatever. They know all the ins and outs. And I just feel like there are so many expenses with pet grooming every month. You have to keep good records, just like I showed you in this file. You have to document everything. You have to keep your receipts, and you have to write that stuff off in order to make the money you need to make as a pet groomer. So Christina says, where am I from? I'm from Pennsylvania. I see you're in Ohio, maybe? Yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania, so you just got snow too. Cheryl Hanks says, Amy, I've learned so much since following you. Thank you. I didn't have a clue how important grooming is. Oh, but you do now, and you wanted to know, so you found the right place to learn. I'm so happy. We have so many successful stories. Many people are right here. You guys have been with me and here with this group for a long time. And we've done wonderful things for your pets and for the pets that you groom. So I'm just so proud of what we have done together. I can't even tell you, we're not done. We're not done, so don't worry. Before we go, couple announcements. Did you know that I have a free weekly email newsletter? Did you know it? Every Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can receive my free Go Groomer exclusive newsletter directly to your email inbox. In the description below, you'll find a link to sign up, completely free. It's all free, but you have to sign up because it's coming to your email. So it's like I can't open your email mailbox unless you give me permission. So then you check your email every Friday, and this great dog grooming newsletter is going to be in there, packed full of secrets, information, wonderful topics. And it's just a good read. People are really enjoying it. Next announcement, channel members, hounds. Remember, you can rewatch all our learning sessions on the replay and download the free PDFs for your notebooks. Every lesson. There's a playlist on my YouTube channel, all my learning sessions that only members have access to. It's $4.99 a month if you want to be a channel member. Hounds, my channel members, our next live session is this Sunday, January 26th at 12 p.m. And I'm so excited to be in front of you again. I love being with my hounds. If you're not a channel member and would love to take your dog grooming knowledge to a new level, there's a link in the description of this video where you can become a channel member, also known as a hound. So you could be one of my hounds. Go Groomer channel members enjoy monthly live learning sessions and receive exclusive content and free downloads with every learning session. It's fantastic. Now, in the closing of this live stream, I am going to throw on a new Farmer's Dog commercial. What? I had to. YouTube was whacking me with monetization problems because of the song that the Farmer's Dog used for the Super Bowl commercial. I think they had rights to it for a year, and then so anyway, I can't share that song anymore. It's the greatest song ever. I can't share it with the Farmer's Dog ad because it's copyright problems. I can't do it. So I put a new song on there for you guys. So we're about to watch that together. This is the Super Bowl commercial that touched hearts across the world, dog lovers everywhere. If you're interested in food for your dog that is species appropriate, tailored to a dog's specific nutrition needs, FDA approved, human grade quality ingredients, I would love to save you 80% on your first box of the Farmer's Dog fresh food delivered to your door. Click the link in the description below and see the benefits firsthand for yourself. So get 80% off your first box. It's a 2-week supply, guys. There's only one thing left to say after I tell you how much I appreciate you hanging out with me. And I love you guys, and I'm proud of you. The last thing that we're going to say together, put them up. We know what we're going to say. Long live dogs.